So I started writing a op-ed to the Baltimore Sun on their own website through Google on my phone. And what I had to say was effectively that when people talk about white supremacy, what they're actually talking about is the plutocracy, the illegitimate rule over the masses of the people by the wealthy classes. And the fact that there is a breakaway society, which of elites who essentially have designed for their own purposes the education system and the systems of government to corral us and prevent us from having any upward mobility and effectively eliminating the middle class. And I wrote this on their website through Google. And all of a sudden, once I got to a certain point, the app just closed out. And it said the app wasn't available. So I couldn't return to what I was doing. Isn't that odd? So I was making a point basically that the education system is designed to dumb us down. This is pretty well established. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to show. It doesn't take an extraordinarily intelligent person to realize or to show to the average person that the education system is there to indoctrinate the children into a society which basically condones their enslavement to the levers of power that are in place by the plutocrats. That we're living in a situation where basically we don't have a choice, but we have the illusion of choice. We have the illusion of choice that you get to choose your job, you get to choose this, and really it's the difference between paper and plastic and Pepsi and Coca-Cola. And even in the case where we could potentially choose our own political system, it's either capitalism or socialism. You don't really have much of a choice in terms of what will actually be the situation. Now, that being the case, what we're looking at is a situation where the average person is so dumbed down they can't actually see the problem, the true nature of the problem. They think that it's white people. People are convinced that it's white supremacy that is the problem in our institutions instead of realizing that it's classism. It's essentially plutocracy, that we have a wealthy elite class who have broken away from the concerns of the average middle class person. And frankly, at a certain point, they don't even need the middle class people making products anymore in factories. They'll just automate it all. So what will happen is the irrelevancy of the middle class will come to a head, and there will come a point where you guys can all just become impoverished completely and it won't matter, and maybe we'll just kill you off through some draconian means, maybe a pandemic. So effectively what this means is the average person, and especially the poorer percentage of the average population, the middle class and the lower class, are basically doomed. They're doomed because they are too incompetent on average to be able to recognize the slavery system that they have been inculcated in. We're living under a tyrannical system, especially now because of the whole COVID thing. And the fact of the matter is we're going to get only more and more enslaved, especially if we don't have the wherewithal to recognize it. And unfortunately, the majority of people don't have the wherewithal. They simply think that they're free to a large degree. They think that they're actually free because they have choices when they don't. And that we've been so divided by things like race and belief in science at this point now, as well as religion and other factors, cultural, traditional things like that, that we basically are so divided that we can't unify to be a public or a democracy or democratic in any kind of way, shape, or form, which is the desire of the plutocracy, because as long as we're divided, we can be ruled and conquered. The only way that it ends is when we recognize that we're all one, regardless of race, religion, class, creed, whatever, and that we have to overthrow the powers that be that currently run the whole system and that create the social engineering apparatus like the education system. The education system is there to create the kind of society that we want for ourselves and for our future generations, but not if it's designed by the plutocracy and the plutocrats, the oligarchs, the elites. And because classical education that was designed to liberate the individual from the mental shackles was seen as an elitist, racist system, the average person today is by far less literate than the average child was in the 19th century. There's less literacy now than there was at the very beginning and height of slavery in the average person. And this leads us into a situation where we're all going to be enslaved at some point in the future if we don't correct this trajectory. And this is all I wanted to say in that article, and I plan on submitting it. But you know what? Even when I tried to email through Gmail closed too. Isn't that funny? Isn't that just so odd? Google seems to not want anyone to hear about this. And I'm sure that algorithmically, this video is going to be a very limited visually too. So, I mean, we'll post this anyway, but it's just sad that basically our whole, what was supposed to liberate humanity has only become another tool by the plutocrats to control information and divide us even further and limit actual knowledge and actual wisdom from piercing the veil. In any case, I'm done, and I'm going to get a shower. Probably read a book. Love and appreciation. Fuck you, Google.